So we're here at Lafette, Chicago. Super excited to have Garth Hogdon on, and pretty impressive resume. You've worked at some of the best restaurants in the United States with Keller at the Laundry, at Per Se. Then you moved over to the brand ambassador side with the brand ambassador job. If I was ever going to be a brand ambassador, I would want with Krug. And now you're importing all kinds of really cool champagnes, and I haven't even had them all. I'm excited to try and learn more about them today. But Garth Hogdon, we're really excited to have you on.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's take
Should
it.
Let's just talk and I'll just open champagne as we go,
we
right?
Must.
Yeah.
And tell us who we're drinking, because that was a cool little story.
We had, we normally bring the champagne for our guests, but he has such a awesome list of champagnes that we haven't had, so we're very excited to drink some of your champagnes.
Yeah, so this is Champagne Co's. This is their first vintage, the 22 vintage, and they're a micro negociant. And I chose this because I really like the idea of a negociant bottling, but they make, I have to look, 782 bottles of this. So
oh, wow.
People usually think negociant and they think the big house. They think 5, 10, 20 million bottles a year. They make 3 cuvées, I have to look again because I forgot, 782 bottles of each. So don't be scared. I saw that flinch.
He's like, hey.
I've opened a few bottles of champagne in my day.
Josh has done some pretty impressive pops on this episode too.
I had our second one. I had a flyer.
It was fun.
You know what? That's okay. I don't work in the industry every day anymore. Thank you, by the way.
My pleasure.
Your hospitality is unmatched with both bringing the bottles and pouring the wine.
But I think this is a good segue into talking about what you're currently doing, because as Josh was saying, you have an impressive list of champagnes that, frankly, we've not heard of most of them. And for us specifically, that's pretty impressive in itself. Like, we drink a lot of champagne, so getting to see a list like Josh sent me.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Talk and drink. We can do it.
Of course. So
it smells amazing.
Yeah, so it's interesting because when I was working with Krug, part of my job was to go over to France and do training and go to the vineyards and taste in the cellars and things like that to stay current on what we were doing. Something I would do at the end of the night is I'd be done with my work and I would go out to the wine bars, I'd go to restaurants, and I was tasting all of these amazing champagnes. And most of the time I'm the guy by myself in the corner, like Googling, like, where do I find this in the United States? And I started to see that all of these great champagnes I was tasting weren't coming to the United States. I had a great job. It's just file that in the back of your head. Pandemic hits, sort of looking for something new, racking my brain, like, what do I really want to do? I really want to work in champagne. And it's like, oh, what about all those really great producers? And so we just decided, my wife and I, she said, get on a plane in 10 days and go to France. And that was 2021. We picked up 3 producers without really a plan, just kind of found 3 producers that we really loved. Said, hey, can we import your champagne? And they, for some reason, said yes. And then I got home and go, okay, now I have to figure out how I'm going to do this, right? And so I did, and now we're 27 producers coming to the United States.
All champagne?
All champagne, only champagne.
And then you're importing them into Chicago. How many markets are you selling or distributing through?
We import into California.
Oh, okay.
When we started the business, we were in California. Our licenses are all in California, our warehouse is in California, and quite honestly, in California, you have more liberty for shipping and things of that nature. It's quite restrictive here in Illinois. So when we moved back a couple of years ago, we left the business based in California, and we have an office and everything there as well too. But we happen to.
How many people is it? Just you and your wife, or do you have? Okay,
me and my wife.
That's awesome.
And that's it. And we distribute currently in about 22 different states. We have a champagne club called Champagne Happy Hour, and we sell in 47 different states.
How successful is that? Is that
It's great.
Great program? Yeah.
It's a really wonderful program.
That's a shipping program.
It's a shipping program. It's a monthly club. It's 2 bottles a month. It's really affordable, and you get 2 champagnes that you probably never had before. The producers that we shipped this month in October was a guy named Brice Aloucheri. He's based in Écouay. He's just took over from his family. This is his first vintage in the United States. The first bottles that came, we shipped them to our club.
That's awesome.
It's probably the first people we need to sign up for.
Yeah. No, we gotta sign up for this, right?
Sure, I'm here to promote, but let's go. This is tasty, huh?
This is delicious. Awesome.
Yeah.
And you were saying this is there's a relation to the Geoffroy family?
So Gilles, that's his day job, and Victor, the other partner in this, is the owner of Soccer Burger.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that. Obviously, amazing space there in Champagne, right?
Yeah, great champagne list, great burgers, great. My wife loves the fried chicken there. That's
Yeah,
her
yeah.
favorite on the menu, but the burgers are great. And just, fell in love with the idea of what they're doing. As I mentioned, it's a negotiant project. So what they're doing every year is they are finding friends that have vineyards. They don't own vineyards, they don't own cellars, but they're finding friends who farm the way they like, they share philosophies. And then they get a small amount of grapes and they make them. This is 100% Chardonnay. They did a Chardonnay, a Pinot Noir, and a Meunier. They bottle those separately and sell them under the Coase brand. And every year it'll be 3 new farmers for their project. So it's really, really cool because it kind of shows, negotiant's such a bad word, at least here in the United States. I don't think in France they think that way. Big house versus small house.
Yeah, no.
It's not.
It's a very unique way they're doing that. The farmers and each grape varietal.
There's nobody that's doing it as defined as them. I know there are some people who are buying and have sort of negotiant projects, but as far as I know, I think they're the only people that are doing it exclusively. And it's really cool.
For those people, I think it's important to say, I did a short stint where I imported a vermouth from Montilla years ago, and I realized, man, that's a really hard business.
Importing?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of capital tie up. There's a lot of red tape. You got to deal with the Europeans that move at their own pace,
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not here to complain about it. It's a great job. We chose it for ourselves. But no, I had a friend who I called him up and I said, hey, how's the import thing going? He had started a business 6 months before. He goes, oh yeah, I gave that up.
Oh, gave that.
Why? He goes, well, I got a wife and kids. And I laughed out loud. I feel so bad. If you're watching, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I laughed out loud. I was like, oh, you thought you were going to make money.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but it's a long game.
Yeah, it's a long game. And luckily when we started this, my wife and I both had full-time gigs.
Yeah.
And so we sort of started as a hobby, knowing that it was going to turn into this. So we sort of had a little bit of a plan on how we were going to do it. It's blown up much larger than I ever dreamed. Like I said, I started with 3, we're at 27. My problem is I can't say no when I taste great champagne. So
well, that kind of segues into the social media presence that you have. I'm like, you're out there, you're I think we were talking before we started filming, you're having fun with it. And I think that's a big part of what we want to do with what we're doing with our podcast is we want to talk about serious producers and get a little nerdy, but we also want to have fun with it, right? And you definitely do that. So how did you start this whole persona? There is a shameless plug
on there to watch One Bottle Reviews.
One Bottle Review, yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know if I can hang, but I love the concept. So
yeah.
This is delicious, by the way.
It's really, really good, isn't it? Yeah, so on my social media, Garth Hodgdon, I just started a couple of years ago. My wife was out of town and I thought, I'm home alone. She was on a girls trip, so I had 3 days to myself.
The setup is
my wife's out of town. If you watch, there's a few on there where it's there's one I've been doing called boy dinner pairing, and it's me by myself, and I put on the robe and whatever, and it's real. None of it may look staged and most of the internet's fake, but what I'm doing is
so you really wear the little eye pins?
Oh yeah.
I
mean, I wear those when I'm not on
legit.
camera too. Yeah. I mean,
not a lot of sexy editing either. It's very raw. That's what I like about it.
I mean, I'm the IT team. I'm the editor. I'm the current microphone I have, I dropped in the pool. We were talking about this. I dropped in the pool over the summer and I'm still using it. It gets a little gurgly every once in a while.
It's a lot of work, right? I mean,
it is a lot of work, but it's fun. And it's like I said, it started because I thought, what am I not seeing on social media that I want to see, right? Because everybody, champagne it's glitzy, it's Bentleys, it's pinkies up, it's diamonds, it's Gucci loafers, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. Sure. Don't get me wrong, but champagne's not that. When you go visit the Champagne region,
it's a party.
I mean, we have a producer and we were tasting with him recently. He goes, oh, this is my street champagne.
This is my street champagne.
What's your street champagne? He goes, is it champagne we drink in the streets?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, my friends come over, we stand out in front of the house and we drink champagne in the street.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is what...
I call that the Tuesday bottle.
Tuesday bottle. Exactly. It's the same thing. And when I was with Krug, I used to stand up in front of people and I would say, is it anyone's birthday? Is it Mother's Day? Is it Christmas? And everyone, oh, no. And I was like, we didn't get struck by lightning. But you can drink champagne
exactly
on a Tuesday, on a, Thursday. You can drink champagne whenever. And that was the idea of One Bottle Review, was to just do something that sort of grabbed people's attention, but then you think about it. You go, oh, this guy's not wearing a tuxedo and he's drinking an entire bottle of champagne like a maniac, and
It's unhinged.
it's a bit unhinged. I know that's your like.
I love
thing.
that's my
This
that's
is
my
John.
word.
John is unhinged. We traveled here. So by the way, this is our road trip podcast, and on the way up here, I'm like, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
hang with
I'm the
John
first
so
away
fun.
game. I love this.
You are. You're the first of the away game.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of where we were too. Like, we want to drink all the amazing bottles, but we don't want to be, label drinking. We don't want to be like, we want to have fun with it, and we want to have a conversation. And the reality is like, we don't know everything, right? We're here to like also hopefully learn and talk to people that are in the industry and have a little bit of fun and maybe learn about some new producers or, even have to cut some stuff out of the podcast if need be. So
Well,
Yeah, of course we will.
It should be community driven, like we're talking about. How do you bring people into wine? I think that's like something we're all trying to figure out. I just sent you that Eric Samanov article that just came out about.
just dropped, yeah.
Yeah, wine is not going anywhere, and I think there's all this fear right now about people drinking, prices going up, are they not drinking? And I actually have a lot of faith in the future of wine. I mean, you've started an import company, so you
I agree with you.
clearly do.
Faith is faith in the wine drinker. I think that's key, right? Like, we're all sort of building our lives, building our careers with the idea that people are going to keep drinking wine. And why wouldn't you when it tastes
That's
like
good.
this, right?
And when it's been happening for years and it brings community. I mean, you have a meal, you have a bottle of wine. We just met Garth, 5 minutes ago?
And we're already almost done with the bottle.
yeah.
I love it. No, I think there's a lot of fear mongering, and there's a lot of people coming out with articles and how they say, oh, the younger generation's not drinking, and my thought's always like, I mean, what were you drinking at 21?
Drinking shitty beer and bad cocktails at a dive bar, right?
I'm a little bit older. I was drinking Red Bull and Jaeger and
For sure.
and, like,
I say you're the value. It's the value proposition is higher.
Sure.
A 6-pack is a little cheaper and larger consumption rate than a bottle of wine.
And you know what? Honestly, that's what I love so much about grower champagne. Not to get into our love of Jaeger,
We
Red
should.
Bull, and things like that. You
didn't bring any.
No, when I
Jaeger,
first
right?
started drinking, we were still doing those like super sugary shooters, like Sex on the Beach and Hooters and things like that.
Oh
like,
yeah, I remember when I first started bartending, things were going across the bar, right?
Yeah. Oh, rough. But that's what I love so much about grower champagne is that you actually do get value in these wines. Like,
No
because
question.
this bottle
And
here,
what is this? What is the bottle retail for?
a bottle of this retails currently at $108. So it's definitely not the cheapest bottle
But
of
for
champagne.
what we're drinking right now,
It's
very,
fantastic.
very good value.
Yeah, and a lot of our producers, hover around the $60, $70 retail bottle price point, which is not cheap. You can obviously go to the grocery store and buy something, a red wine or a white wine or a sparkling wine from a different region of the world for a lesser price. But for the quality that you get, the craftsmanship that you get, and also this is cheaper than other more popular labels that we might be more familiar with.
Totally.
Right? And
But also like of the same quality of some of those labels, if not better.
if not better. I mean,
Yeah,
again, this is a single vineyard, single vintage champagne. 782 bottles were made.
Yeah, it's like for $100 a bottle.
For $100 a bottle.
That's crazy.
And there's nothing of this quality that you can find. Still think of all of the great. What's the best bottle of champagne that you've ever had?
Yeah.
What's the best
real question or?
Well, no, but like, what's the best bottle of champagne that you've ever had, and how much did that cost? What's the best bottle of Bordeaux? What's the best watch? What's the best car? When you think of luxury, champagne is still
for
think the most
Great
accessible
value.
luxury in the world, right?
Well, at the end of the day, I
Super great
think
value.
the conversation is just that it's, as you mentioned, and you probably, you talk about this in all the travels, is that it's wine. This is people get stuck like this is a everyday beverage. This is the street bottle, as you mentioned, right? This is the what we want to be drinking every day. What we do drink
A lot.
yeah. And so thank you for doing God's work and bringing it into the.
It really is a pleasure to discover. You get caught in these ruts sometimes.
Trying to
Sure.
Or just in the recycle of some of the producers, and there's all of these guys are great producers. We're friends with a lot of these guys now, but it's like just discovering new stuff is like super exciting.
Well, and I'm not going to assume that you guys are old, but guys of our age, men of our age, women of our age, sommeliers of our age, remember 20 years ago when these producers, this first wave of growers started coming in. The ones that were here celebrating for Lafette, right? And they're still amazing producers. And some of these producers are on to the next generation. Laurier, the next generation is making the wine. There's a lot of producers where the next generation is making the wine of these sort of like first wave, when you think of it as like, put it in music terms, like the first wave. We're in the second wave now. We're in this next wave of new producers that are doing really cool, small, fun things that are sort of taking over for the family. They're the fifth
or
the
starting
sixth
new
generation, starting new. There's this whole new sort of energy. And I say it not tongue in cheek at all, that Champagne is currently the most exciting wine region in the world.
We would agree, full stop. I mean, in the
I
past
hope so, because otherwise you guys are doing the wrong podcast.
Like the past 5 to 10 years have been some of the most exciting time in Champagne ever, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's almost a given now. You go to most restaurants and there is some sort of depth of a Champagne wine list. We talk about that all the time too, and I'm a fine dining junkie. People have their opinions on it. I still hold a lot of value. I love fine dining. I think the going out for it. But back in the day, that just used to be an aperitif. Now it's an integral part of the meal.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you start ordering bottles of champagne as the somms are in it with.
Well, they're going to pair it with the entree. They're going to pair it with the different courses. And I think that because it's the versatile wine that and they're looking at it from a different perspective. Young somms are doing that. That wasn't necessarily the case, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think now, the mentality, especially of like wine collectors, previous generation of wine collectors, and I have had a lot of contact in previous roles that I've had and stuff, is that, you go into someone's wine cellar and there's a lot of Burgundy, there's a lot of Bordeaux, and there's no Champagne. The idea is, and everyone was drinking good Champagne, but it was buy a couple cases of Krug or Dom Perignon or Jacques Solos or whatever your fancy is, and then put them in the cellar, but drink them. Every time someone comes over, you pop a bottle. And when they run out, you buy another case or two. And it wasn't something that you were aging or cellaring, because it was drink it while you're waiting for everyone to show up so you can sit down and pop that bottle of Burgundy.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But then also, it just wasn't something that you aged. And in fine dining, it was like, sure, you can have a glass of Champagne, but make sure it's gone by the time salads hit, because we've got to get your Sauvignon Blanc on the table, right? And that was the mentality.
But don't you think too, at the beginning of those, you talk about those wine collectors, maybe they were drinking all of that stuff because it was so delicious that they wanted to hold on to the other stuff.
That's part of it.
Maybe that was the mentality, but it was also like, because I don't know, it's like you get to some of these collectors things and you build these cellars and it's these like show off wines or this like depth, and you're like, I'd just rather have Champagne tonight.
That definitely could be it. And that's a way more optimistic view of it. Mine was that Champagne was sort of a secondary thought for most people. And there are plenty of great collectors who have always understood and collected Champagne. And I saw that a lot when I was with Krug.
I think a lot of folks they're afraid to open that old bottle of Burgundy, so they're like, we'll just keep popping.
We'll just keep popping that. So, sure. I mean,
but I mean, at the end of the day, the Champagne, I tend to. I have a lot of Burgundy too, but like that percentage went up dramatically, and that's kind of what started this whole podcast. It was like we just kept buying more and more in Champagne. We talk about this. We've talked about it on several podcasts. Is like during COVID, me and John were kind of zooming back and forth and learning, and it was like, let's just study Champagne. Let's just talk about Champagne, and then it just kind of got out of hand.
Yeah. It became a real deep obsession.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing Champagne professionally, exclusively for over a decade.
Yeah.
And I learn something new every single day.
Yeah.
And that's what's so exciting about it. When I first started going down like the sommelier, like the Court of Master Somms journey, I was like, okay, I'm going to learn everything there is to know about wine.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself once, I said, well, yeah, I'll learn everything, but then there'll be a new vintage and I'll have to learn more. Yeah. Right. And I was like, oh, this will be fun. And then you realize you can never learn.
Never.
Yeah, it's like sort of like this bottomless pit that's so much fun to fall down.
Yeah.
But like going back to what you were saying about Champagne 20 years ago.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Champagne 20 years ago and we're talking about Champagne now, we're not talking about the same region.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the same winemakers. We're not talking about the same wines. We're not talking about the same climate. We're not even talking about the same mentality about farming. Like nothing is the same.
Yeah.
And you taste some of these cuvées from 20 years ago. Taste some of these like people who are still creating great champagnes now that were creating champagnes 20 years ago. They're dramatically different. And the
mindset's changed. I mean,
the mindset's changed. The farming's changed. 20 years ago, you just hoped that things got right. Yeah. The harvest would come and you go, man, I hope we get to 9.5. maybe.
Yeah.
And now people are like, we're at 11.6, so we're
we gotta
picking
pick.
close to 12.
I mean, I mean, where is this going? I mean, obviously, that's a big part of the conversation we keep having here. Is like, obviously, I mean, right now in the short term, you get that ripeness. It becomes an easier thing. But that may not be the case in another 20 years, right?
I think maybe 50 years down the road, we'll be doing this podcast and we will be talking about different regions in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll all be retired and we can be doing this like on a beach somewhere. But
next podcast on the beach, guys.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on a beach drinking that much champagne, I'm in trouble anyway. I do think there is something to be said though, if assuming that some of this isn't out of control, the ripeness is helping in a lot of ways. Champagne makes some great champagne.
Totally.
Now you've got to be a better producer, I think now, in some regards.
Well, it's different. It's a different winemaking approach as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because of that, right?
Yeah. You can't make
I
the
can
same.
tell Garth and I are going to get along great.
Good thing I brought another bottle.
Hey, we don't need one bottle here.
Yeah, I'm a pusher. It's one of those things. People come over to the house.
He's lying. He does more than one bottle.
Yeah. People come over to the house and it's like the bottle gets halfway and I open the second bottle and my wife will say, well, nobody's going to leave if there's wine open. I'm like, well, if people are here, I'm going to open wine. So it's sort of that catch-22. So we all just get like a little bit too much champagne in our bodies.
Isn't that the most beautiful thing though? People staying around. That's what this is all about.
I mean, that's why we all sit around a table and drink champagne.
I also think, talking about that is the champagne is a great conduit for like those people that are like, you bring people together and they're not into wine.
Yeah.
I don't know many people that have ever opened bottles of champagne for like, I don't really like that.
Yeah.
It's always the continuation of that. Like,
it's definitely a way to glue people together, especially people that are new to
Yeah.
wine or don't know a lot about wine. You can say, well, we're going to open champagne. Like, okay, well,
it's not one of those hoarding bottles, right? You're not like
Right.
sitting around like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Champagne is an interesting thing though, because champagne has always been marketed historically as a celebration. We're told that it's only for special occasions. It's in a different bottle with a different cork. It makes a noise when you open it. And then you were told to put it in the wrong glass, a flute, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like fed this like big houses versus small houses and this and that and all these sort of like internal battles that they're happening in the Champagne region that aren't actually happening. And so as a consumer, it's a bit of a scary category to get into, right?
Sure.
Because like you guys said, you start learning about champagne, you go, oh wow, there's so much depth to it. Most wine regions are that way, to be fair, but champagne has this barrier to entry, and also it's not the cheapest beverage in the world,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
So that was sort of the initial thought of Champagne Happy Hour, and what we're doing is to bring people to champagne and give them a glass without necessarily, I'll open it for you, I'll pour it, I'll tell you about it, I'll give you a little bit of information about it so that you feel comfortable next time you want to spend $60-$70 on something. Maybe it is a celebration.
You're
Maybe
a shaman. You're the spirit
that
guy.
seems sure. Yeah. I'll take it. No, but I think it's one of those things where there is so many layers to.
It reminds me of like what Tenzing, right? Ken Fredrickson's, I guess, now defunct distribution house here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, the whole idea was that they were guides. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of people that are popping up. There's podcasts. There's lots of people on the internet that are doing things that in that vein, right? That are pushing people towards understanding that wine is just a beverage. And sure, there's different labels, and sure, maybe there's scary. There's village names instead of grape names, and as an American, sometimes that's scary because you're like, what is this Jeffrey Chambertin thing? Like, oh my gosh,
it's delicious. That's what it is.
Right, but you don't necessarily know what's going on, right? So I think there's a lot of people out there that are doing really good work, sort of educating, and the whole point is to not, put your pinky up and be like, I know more than you.
Yes.
Some people do that, but I think the people who are doing the right thing are just sort of giving people the opportunity to not have to know everything in order to open a bottle of wine. A bottle of champagne shouldn't be scary. You shouldn't have to be like, I understand where Shui is. I understand the grape. I understand this. I understand this. Where's secondary fermentation? Had you asked me when I was on the floor at the French Laundry studying for my Court of Master Sommeliers master exam with 4 other guys on the floor who were also studying. I mean, we were doing flashcards in the family meal line. It was crazy. Had you sat me down and said, Garth, explain A to Z how you make champagne, I would not have been able to tell you.
Yeah.
it takes the greatest thing about learning more and more is the more and more you learn, and this applies to multiple subjects.
Sure.
Is you realize how much you don't know, and to the point where you become more and more humble. And I think that we see that apparently again. You can kind of pick out these young bartenders or sommeliers because they kind of give that impression, sometimes, and it's just part of the process, though.
Totally.
Right, it's part of the process. You have to go through that phase to
I
get to the
also
next
just-
phase.
I think the guests know, the thing I think with trust with guests is like, guests ask me questions all the time, because now we have this huge champagne list. It's like, oh, how's that one taste different? Then I go, I don't know, let's open it.
Right.
Sometimes it's just like, I think the honesty game is a little easier.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's the best.
and just be like, I just think, you know what? I don't need to analyze this, do this trick with you.
Right.
It's just fucking delicious.
Right. Yeah.
And you should get this, you know what? Let's open that bottle and I'll pour it by the glass for you.
Exactly.
Doing things like that to try to get the customer. I think once you have the guide that I just was watching one of your facts about champagne. It was quite good. And the first fact was, don't put champagne on a pedestal. It's just wine with bubbles.
Yeah.
So yes, that is true. And I think sometimes we overthink this thing, but I mean, I do think there's a specialty involved.
Sure.
That's quite unique. But no, I thought that was a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
Because for the consumers, we only need to give as much relevant information as is enjoyable to digest. If they want more information, then they'll
they can
ask. Yes.
Right.
But you don't need to keep telling them things that are like.
I mean, that's a great song on the floor. It plays that game well.
Right.
Right.
I think that's the key, right? You have to, there are some people who will stand up and give a soliloquy of their own knowledge because they're interested in hearing themselves speak,
for
right?
sure.
And we've all been there early in our careers and we've all seen it. But I think as an astute wine professional, you have to see the eyes rolling back in people's heads. When they're like,
and then the other way, if someone's like, and they're in, you're like, okay, let me give you some more information. Yeah. Where do I stop?
Right.
But
it's
tell
hard.
you.
I mean, I've been in front of groups of people giving a presentation about champagne, and I'm talking about, lees aging and this and that, and people are like,
watch them fall asleep.
they're like, so this is from France? And you're like, I overshot, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all start somewhere. We all have to learn from somewhere. And, there's that old saying, champagne's, well, it's not necessarily a saying, but there, champagne only comes from the Champagne region of France, and everybody knows that. And that's probably the first thing that you learn about champagne is that saying, right? But that I think sets people up for the fact they go, oh, I need to know a lot. And that quote that you just mentioned about champagne is just wine with bubbles. The chef de cave of Krug, when I was there, Eric Labelle, told me that, and he goes, you know how you make great champagne?
Gotta make a great
You
still
make
wine.
great wine.
Yeah, you gotta make a great still wine.
And it was a gross oversimplification, but I think it's so useful to think about.
It's grounding.
It's grounding.
It's grounding.
Absolutely.
And I think that, you can go down, you can get really, excited and I gotta try all these producers and I gotta understand every single expression they have and every SKU and, all the, what is the cuvee, but the reality is that, you got to find that balance of doing the nerdy thing and then, enjoying yourself and having fun, because the whole point of drinking champagne or drinking alcoholic beverages is to gather people together and have conversations, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah. I've done the opposite. I kick everybody out and I drink a bottle by myself. So having you guys here is super weird because I've only had a third of the bottle. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I know, we've got the other bottle. Let me grab, let's grab the other bottle. Come on. It's going to warm up.
I do want to ask, I want to go back to the company.
Should I make a noise with this one?
Yeah, you can make it.
Yeah, you can make it go a little, get wild with it.
You work with your wife.
I do.
Okay, so we're
that.
working with family in general, like Canton Paillard and his brother, they work together, and it's, I love my wife dearly. She's a baker, and literally right down the street from us.
That's cool.
And we get along great, but I wonder what working alongside someone that close is like for you. The challenges or the rewards of it.
It's interesting because, we got married in December of 2019, so just before the pandemic, just before the lockdown.
We got married in January of 20.
Oh, you win. And sure, when you're studying and you're working in Michelin-starred restaurants, it's got to be quiet. People have all these sayings about what a champagne bottle is supposed to sound like when you open it. And I don't really subscribe to all of that, right? Yes, it's a skill to be able to open a bottle of champagne without it making a noise. Absolutely. But it's also the only beverage that makes a noise when you open it. So let's celebrate that as well.
That's actually a good point.
That is Great sound bit. I like that.
Yeah.
It's the only beverage that makes a sound. I mean, maybe besides a beer can, which is also
Yeah, I mean, a
fantastic
can
sound.
opening, you got to finish it.
Yeah. No mixing. No new cuvées.
I do love the artwork on this, which
Yeah.
I don't think. Listen, I am a label junkie because I think that a lot of labels are bad, and I do think good labels speak volumes to the care
100%.
of the product on the inside, especially with new producers.
Absolutely.
So you know, old school producers like Eagly was a great example. Great bottle. But Eagly is a great example. It's like it's a classic label, so I don't think we need to change that per se.
Sure.
It shows like what the house is about, right?
Right.
But when you're starting to create these new cuvées, I think have a little fun with the label and or context. And there's like some great labels out there, and there's other labels I'm like, anyway, fantastic label.
It's a good label.
I think labels do matter. I think that
Especially as an importer. It's money
Yeah,
on
they
the
sell,
retail,
it's
right?
important.
That's how the guest is like, oh, that's cool.
We make decisions. So when we started the champagne company, I had worked.
Cheers again.
Cheers again.
Yeah.
I had worked retail. I had worked as a sommelier in a bistro, in a fine dining restaurant. I'd sort of seen the gamut. I'd worked on the supplier side. And so I understood the things that I thought were important about an import company and an import brand. And labels are super important. And I've had great wines where the labels were disastrous. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes those play into some of the decisions that you make about the viability of something in the marketplace.
Oh yeah.
And those are conversations that you have with the producer. You don't ever want to throw away a great champagne and be like, oh, the label's crap, I don't want it, right?
How do you broach that conversation?
It is a very hard conversation to have because I've had some conversations with people like, oh, well, my daughter or someone designed this.
wow.
And it's like, yeah, but
Or
your
we
daughter
invested this much in
Yeah,
this run,
exactly,
right? Because it's not
right.
like
We're
you
here to
buy
market
wine.
the wines, right?
Yeah,
And
but you
in a
have to
different
market and
country.
sell the wines. Yeah, and it's a different country, and our marketplace is different than their marketplace, and things like that. And that is, as an importer and a distributor, those are things that we have to understand as well. But this is Domaine Maya, and this is the winemaker's name is Sophie. She's a 5th generation winemaker. They're based in the Grand Cru village of Louisville, which there's 17 Grand Cru villages, and if you ask people to name the ones they've heard of, Louisville would be pretty far down the list. It's contiguous with Ambonnet and Bouzy. If you're on that hillside, the south-facing hillside on the bottom of the Montagne d'Arons, I should have brought my map. You could walk from Ambonnet, Bouzy, Louisville. The big difference is that Louisville has a little bit of a west tilt to it, where the other two are completely south-facing. So in the last couple hundred years, Bouzy and Ambonnet are always getting ripe. They're always like these rich styles of champagne. Louisville with that little west tilt didn't always get as ripe. We don't have that problem anymore. We're getting ripeness. Also, there's only about 40 hectares planted, whereas Bouzy and Ambonnet are 3, 4, 5 times that size as well too. So this is a producer that to my knowledge, is the only producer that's coming into the United States based in the village of Louisville.
I was going to say, like, I'm familiar with the village, but I don't think I've ever had a champagne from that village.
Yeah. I have another producer, Rosso Bateau, that makes a single vineyard Louisville wine, but his plot is 0.2 Rs. It's tiny, so there's not a lot of that goes around either, similar in size to this. But the idea is that, you know, they're producing these really, really beautiful champagnes. Sophie is making absolutely fantastic champagnes. Franck, her husband, is actually coming to the United States for the first time ever in a couple weeks, and we're going to show him around a couple markets.
I understand you're also pouring this wine at Lafette, right?
Yeah, we're going to pour this wine at Lafette. We've got a couple other producers that we're pouring. Lafette was, you know, nice enough to give us an opportunity to pour some of our producers.
So we were talking about that earlier when you came in. You've been doing Lafette since the start, right?
Yeah, I mean, with my work with Krug, I was lucky enough to be around with the first Lafette, and it was tiny, and we were in New York. And
How many people were at the first one?
I'd be guessing, but I'd say 100.
Oh, wow.
It was tiny, and everything happened in one place. The grand tasting and the seminars and the dinner were all sort of in one location. And it's grown since then, and more producers, and it's been really fun to be a part of it. And after I left Krug, I've just continued going. So I've been lucky enough to go to all of the Lafettes and kind of.
I'm a Lafette virgin. This is my first.
This is his first one.
Well, this is the first Chicago one, so it's perfect.
I know.
Maybe
but
you should be the mascot. You're the Chicago. You know how the Olympics always have those like this is you.
You know,
for a
if you
Chicago
tell me
Lafette.
that, I will do it.
I think so. You're the.
Don't sign him. He'll do.
Listen,
he'll do
I'm not in.
We're doing the
but
double header though. We're going to New York next week.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I can't go to New York because Franck is coming to town, and I have to be in
That
Chicago
sounds like a
for
movie.
that. Yes, Franck is coming to town.
Yeah.
We might make that movie while he's
There you
here.
go. We're gonna see this on the social media.
So I'll miss the New York for the first time ever, and it breaks
Really?
my heart
First
to
time
touch. First time ever.
Wow.
But I will go to the Los Angeles one. So,
That's awesome.
you know, when there's champagne,
Yeah.
I always used to tell people at Krug, my job was if there was a bottle of Krug champagne being opened, I was there. And now,
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't think that ever is true because I opened a lot of bottles of Krug.
and we've never met.
Like,
Well, listen, that's why I don't
back
work there anymore. They were like, dude, there's so many. There's so many. Like,
you're not anywhere you're
I was
supposed to
sitting
be.
across from my boss, and she's like, "Did you hear that?" In Norfolk, they just opened a bottle, and you're not.
You
there.
know, we
Yeah.
had a pretty incredible experience that I don't think a lot of people get. I don't even know how it happened to us, but we got to do a tour at Krug and then eat upstairs with Arnaud Lamont doing the food at Krug. It was pretty crazy. We didn't sell that much Krug, so.
I'm sure you've had some crazy stories from doing the Krug thing, running around. I mean, there's got to be some good gems.
There's some really good ones.
That's what I was trying to pull out in this podcast.
Yeah.
All the good, juicy stories, right?
I can't give them all away because there's a movie being made about my life, and I can't. Not true, but if you're watching, no.
He'll sell it to you.
Yeah. It's still,
It's gonna be
it's still
pricey.
affordable.
Well,
I mean, once this podcast drops, it's good. The prices
might
will
go
go
up.
up.
It might go up.
The prices are going up. No, I think the craziest story is I met a gentleman, and much like you guys, first time meeting, we became fast friends over a couple bottles of champagne. He said, "Hey, my daughter's turning 1 tomorrow. I'd like you to come to the party."
It's an interesting party to come to, but.
Okay.
I mean, 1-year-old birthday parties aren't really my jam.
And what state?
We were in California.
We're in California.
This was during the Pebble Beach Food and Wine Festival.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The previous iteration, not the current iteration. I haven't been to the new one. I'm sure it's just as great. And he grabs my arm, which I won't do because...
It was an aggressive grab.
And he goes, "We're going to have every vintage of Clos de Menil and every vintage of Clos d'Ambonnet."
What do you mean?
At this 1-year-old's birthday party?
What do you mean every? What do you mean every vintage?
Every vintage?
Every vintage. So Clos de Menil started in 1979 was the first vintage, and Clos d'Ambonnet started in 1995.
Did you just go?
And he just had those in his house?
He had them. 2 bottles of each, 750 milliliters of each.
He had 2 bottles.
We started
each.
with a 3 liter of Grand
How
Cuvée
many
and ended with
bottles?
a. Well, there was. Well, so there was 20. I think 21 vintages of Clos de Menil at the time, and 3 vintages of.
That
Clos
would be the
d'Ambonnet at
best
time.
1-year-old birthday party I've ever been to.
It was great. So the 1-year-old came out, blew out the candle, smashed the cake,
And then all
went
the
to bed, and
parents
then
just-
we sat around and drank every vintage of Clos d'Ambonnet and Clos de Menil, and it was quite amazing.
That's amazing.
It was quite
Jeez.
amazing.
Wow.
That's just
That's
know,
a story.
that's just a day in the life, right?
Day in the life.
You're
no,
like,
it was,
you're like, oh, I can't. I'm busy. Oh, actually.
well, it was just
But
funny. Like,
collectors want to pull you in and taste with you. That's the beauty of that.
He
job,
knew.
right?
He
This
knew.
is the beauty-
What, you know what? He just knew that the 1-year-old as a birthday was not a selling point. He
Right,
needed
yeah.
to grab your arm and let you know.
the arm grab really sold me. Yeah, it could have gone 2 ways. No, but you know, that's like we were talking about before. That's the beauty of the wine industry.
sure.
That's the beauty of
Very
opening
sharing.
a bottle of wine. That's the beauty of collectors. I mean, some of my favorite experiences are people who have far more wealth and knowledge,
No question.
wealth and knowledge and wealth of knowledge than I in the wine industry. And they would come to me and say, let's drink together. Let's open something together. One of my favorite experiences was Paul Roberts, ex Thomas Keller Restaurant Group, head sommelier, had just left. He was at Harlan at the time, and I had just started at Bouchon in Yountville. And he came to me. I had never met him before. Just one of the nicest, most genuine guys. And he goes, "Let's go to dinner. I just want to talk." And we went to dinner and we sat down and he looks at me, and Bill, if you're watching, sorry, Bill Harlan, if you're watching, sorry, he goes, "I've got the company card, order whatever you want." And we actually did drink a bottle of Krug that day, you know? And that was one of the solidifying moments for me where I was like, you put me in front of a wine list and you say, "You've got a corporate card, buy whatever you want." And I picked champagne. I was like, maybe this is a thing, right? That's a very formative moment for me. But also the formative moment of that was the generosity that Paul had. And he was just like, "You're working for a company I used to work for. You're not under my charge anymore, but I want to have a conversation with you. I want to talk to you. I want to tell you some of the knowledge I have. I want to pass on some of the stories, and I also want to set you up for success in your future." And that was great.
That's awesome.
It was such a wonderful experience, and I've had that over and over.
I mean,
and over
and that's kind of
over
one of the
again.
questions that we pulled out is to talk about is, of course, is
Yeah, we haven't started asking those questions
the,
yet.
The mentorship.
This is
I mean,
it.
The
That's how
mentorship-
good we are.
Oh, I love it.
The mentorship is like key, right? I mean, I think ultimately, like, you know, 2 things that you touched on that they're obviously within your career, like you didn't get to where you are today without having those mentors, and like who are those mentors? And the other part about that is we talked about this, like who are we going to have on the podcast, and and I was definitely a big advocate of like bringing on collectors because they're the most obsessed people about wine, and also quite often have a deep well of knowledge. These collectors, and so it's like
Josh and I talk about this a lot, but like the collector guys and just people that are into champagne that again come from maybe better means or whatever, but they'll order. I've never been at my bar where guys order that bottle that's like a crazy price and they're drinking it themselves. You know what happens every time?
Right.
They're like, make sure all the staff gets a taste.
And this person and that person.
Oh, that happens all the time.
Oh, it's someone's birthday.
Josh during right post COVID when we started becoming friends would come in and it'd just be like a really slow Tuesday and there'd be a couple different guys and then there's just one guy would open one bottle, another guy would open another bottle. He was like, send him a glass. And that's like the most beautiful thing I think about the wine industry is that generosity. Yeah. Nobody wants to open a bottle of wine and drink alone.
So he says to the guy who drinks a bottle by himself. Yeah. Nobody wants to do it, but sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes you have to. Somebody's got to do it. Sometimes your wife's out of town and you got to drink a bottle by yourself.
But they want to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And that's the cool part about wine.
I think that the collectors are a very important part of the wine industry.
For sure.
And I think collectors, and there's a few that really stick out in my mind, sort of formed my early relationship with, Holy Grail wines or whatever you want to call them, but the wines that you really get to taste once or twice in your life.
And they usually come from somebody else buying them.
They usually come from somebody else buying them. The greatest bottles I've ever had have always come from someone else. Yeah. And I'll tell you a quick story, or long, doesn't matter, we can edit out whatever we need to, although the champagne's running low. One of the greatest stories actually happened at a Lafette, and it was in New York, and it was the end of the night of the gala dinner, and it was dark, the lights were off, and I was a sommelier, and I was just sort of helping clean up and tidy up. And someone walks up to me, and I didn't see a face. It was like a fever dream, right? Or a noir film or something, right? And they go, "Do you want some?" And I looked down, and it was Salos Ratafia. And I was like,
what?
I was drunk.
I didn't even know they made that.
I'll admit it, I had some champagne, thanks to some nice collectors who had shared with me. And I said, yeah, sure, no problem, whatever. And I didn't really grasp what I was drinking in the moment. And like the first sip like snapped me out. I was like, it was the greatest thing I'd ever tasted in my life. And I searched down that person and I was like, can I have a little more, right? Like, and I got a little bit more of this Ratafia from Salos, and it was magical. But it was one of those things. It was a collector had
for sure
brought this in, had decided to share it, and it's this like hand coming out of the dark shadows, being like, "Would you like a sip?" Yeah, and like the details of the story are not as important as just sort of like that like burned in ingrained memory of like someone out of somewhere pouring you a bottle now. I mean, that bottle's like, if you can find one, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 probably. Yeah. At the time, it wasn't as much, but still almost impossible to find.
That's the great thing about
and someone wanted to share it.
La Pali
I don't even know who it was.
And the fact that I found that, like, I've only been to a few of these events, is that generosity is essentially the event. Everybody's sharing crazy bottles, and you're probably consuming a little too much, but
no one's hoarding.
But you're having such a good time, and everyone's so excited to share their stuff and try new stuff, and it's just
the producers are there sharing, recently disgorged or formats that they don't normally make, or Daniel and Peter and the whole Lafette team and the Le Pole team have always like the beauty of what they're doing is they've created these relationships with the producers, and so the producers want to bring things to share with the guests of these events to show things that they're not normally showing. So the generosity of the producers, the generosity of all the guests that come, because at those gala dinners, you bring your own wine and you stand up and you share and you pour and I've had so many birth year wines or wines that I've never tasted before because someone's like, oh, here, have a sip. And it's not just like the, little quarter-ounce sip. It's like a significant generous pour, because the idea is that you pour champagne, you get champagne. It's just a wonderful thing. And, going back to the wine industry, it's just like, it's generosity.
I think that's the biggest piece, right? I mean, I came from the cocktail and spirits world. That's like my background. And
yeah, we talked about it, Purple Hooters. And
Purple Hooters. I made a lot of Purple Hooters.
Yeah. What was your favorite, not to interrupt you, but what was your favorite shooter to make?
Jeez.
I'll tell you mine when you're done.
Well, so, I quickly moved out of the shooter phase.
Sure, it's a brief 6 to 8 weeks. You graduate from
but I worked. When I first started bartending, I bartended in a nightclub. I was actually bar backing in a nightclub.
What nightclub? You in a nightclub?
I was a bar back in a nightclub, and of course, when you're a bar back in a nightclub, and it's like the early 2000s, late 90s, you immediately become the bartender when somebody just doesn't show up or goes for a long.
For sure.
So they're like, I'm going for a long, bathroom break, and they're, making out with some girl, and all of a sudden you're making drinks, right? You're like, and you're just.
Did we work in the same bar? Because that's the same story I had. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh well, I just figured this out, and so, but yeah, all this. Geez, I can't even remember some of them. I would say. I don't think I have one. I think I was always the person that was like, let's shoot whiskey or tequila, or let's.
You were ahead of your time.
Yeah, apparently, right?
Yeah. Or were you making like fuzzy navels, or?
My favorite was Surfer on Acid, and I don't remember the recipe.
Surfer
I know that
on
Jägermeister
acid.
was in it.
Okay.
Maybe at this point in the podcast you can flash it on the bottom, but that was
Yeah,
to make it. Yeah, one. And it would be funny if someone showed up with a tray. They're like, actually.
The great thing about that. This is the great thing about that.
You remember the flavor?
Is like those shots in that era. There was no real recipe. If you went from state to state or bar to bar, everyone made it differently.
No, our recipe book was colors.
Yeah, it was colors.
It was like, this is supposed to be purple,
blue,
this is green. Yeah.
And you look at how are we gonna do that? Okay, we'll put.
Yeah, someone's like, let me get a fuzzy, slippery nipple, and you look at it and you're like, well, that's peach. So
it's like
what back here is going to turn it that color. Right? Maybe a little bit of vodka.
Say what you will.
But you may not even get the same shot with me if you came an hour later.
No. But nobody cared either.
Nobody cared.
Yeah, it was fine.
It's kind of like
when you work in a nightclub in the late 90s, people just...
You just put stuff in cups for money and put it across the bar.
Yeah.
But ultimately, obviously, then you start getting excited about it. You're like, what is this stuff? What is this stuff I'm pouring? And you learn more, and then you move to a different place, and you work in a restaurant, and then for me, you got involved with that cocktail scene early on before it became a thing. It was like, oh, Milk and Honey is doing a thing. Mm-hmm. What is that? And then and then going down that rabbit hole, and so. Ironically, I did the cocktail thing for a long time, but wine was always my passion. I was like, I just love champagne.
Yeah.
And then, you get to the point where you're like, okay, well, I need to go down that rabbit hole now. Mm-hmm.
No, it's funny though, because a lot of times people want to take pot shots at bartenders. Oh, you're just a bartender, right? But I think there's
a noble career. It's a noble career.
An absolutely noble career. But I think that some of the smartest, most exciting and maybe eccentric people I know were bartenders or are bartenders. Absolutely. Because there's this. I remember when I was bartending, I tasted every gin behind the bar, and someone would go, oh, well, you're just a degenerate gin drinker. It's like, well, no, I want to know what each one of them tastes like. I want to know where they come from. I want to understand more about this product. And then I'd go home and I'd read about it, and I'd wake up in the morning, I have this gin-fueled hangover, and I'd be reading about juniper berries and where do they come from and all of these things, because I had this deep desire to just know what was going on, right?
Yeah. A part of the fun is the obsession of for me it was I then moved to a bourbon bar eventually, and that bourbon bar was like, I want to know every single bar, bottle on the bar, and so I could sell it, and so I can understand it, and so I can speak eloquently and sell those products, and then it just starts you down this rabbit hole of well, I'm gonna learn, like you said, you get to the point, I want to learn everything about beverage alcohol.
Right.
You're like, that's not possible.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
Right.
I think what you said though is there's a balance between great service industry people as a noble career. Mm-hmm. You should really know your craft really well, but don't take yourself so seriously in the craft. But that's also maybe don't go out every night after the shift. And it's okay if you like to go out, but there's a balance in there. I think there is a balance in some regard of you want to be good at the craft. It does take a little bit of sacrifice from one end to the other.
I think everything's like that. I think every industry in the world, right? And it's easy for us to romanticize the bar and restaurant industry because that's where we grew up.
For sure.
But I think that that's that way for every industry in the world, right? You have to be dedicated to it. You have to seek the knowledge yourself. There's no job, no mentor, no person that's going to give you all of the tools, right? And the best mentors I ever had, one of the craziest questions I ever had from a mentor, he looked at me and goes, well, what can I do to make you more successful? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
It wasn't here's this book, here's this, watch this, YouTube video or whatever it was. It was, what can I do to make you more successful?
What do you need?
Yeah, what do you need? What are your
Because
goals?
if someone's already like studying or trying to get good at something, and it's not necessarily like, I really like certifications. I just think they give a format.
Sure.
I'm not saying they're the only valuable tool. I do think that the majority of the value is on the job. You've got to be working it.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying I like certifications because they give some sort of baseline. They give a credibility for you to go, okay, if I want to learn about something, I can start doing that. But that's your journey.
Sure.
I can't dictate how your journey is going to go, how you're going to learn it. Let me know how I can help that.
Right.
What can I do to
Well, I mean,
facilitate
I think that the key is like you have to like start with kind of getting your baseline, reading the books, doing the things, and then you go out and you have the conversations, you get the mentors, and then eventually, hopefully, you go to the place.
Oh, you got to go to the place.
And when you go to the place, that's when you're like, it all starts to click. You're like, oh wait, like I'm here, I'm doing harvest, I'm at a distillery, whatever it may be. Like you start to, that's when you really.
That's been a big game changer for Nouvelle. Yeah. I mean, like just a few years ago, we started going and visiting producers, and like in a very like, I wouldn't say the word's aggressive, but like we just got back from Burgundy and Champagne, and we did like 24 producers in like 8 days.
Amazing.
Which like sounds like fun to people that go wine tasting,
right?
But it's like that's a gauntlet.
It's aggressive.
I mean, I think we did 6 producers in one day in Champagne.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It was awesome. It really was, because
I couldn't even drive this experience. Just like go knock on the door and leave.
Well, we had a driver that day. But I mean, it was also like, I think you too is like, you're drinking that much, you're spitting.
Sure.
You're just no possible way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No possible way.
Absolutely.
But it finished with Geoffroy. You know, Sasha and her father, had us over for dinner.
Yeah.
At like 8 p.m. That was the visit.
Yeah.
But you learn a plethora of knowledge.
Just
to be there with
just
it.
being there. Just standing in the vineyards, standing on the land, looking out over the vistas. Like that's the important thing. I had a friend recently who was studying for her master sommelier exam, and I asked her, I said, what are your flashcards on Champagne? She sent me pictures of all of her flashcards. I mean, she has passed her master theory, but the flashcards were minuscule. There was not a lot of knowledge there, and this is nothing against her or the court. It's just that you scratch the surface when you're studying these accreditations that you
need to
can
know
get.
overall.
Yeah, like I said, I've been doing Champagne exclusively for a decade, and I literally am learning something new every single day. Like earlier this week or last week, there was a new grape that was permitted in the AOC that you're now allowed to use.
I'm not aware of that. What is that grape?
Chardonnay rosé.
Chardonnay rosé.
It's a mutation of Chardonnay that's got a
that actually
skin.
just came up on the French Wine Scholar email today.
There you go.
Yeah, just
I
dropped.
must have not looked at that because I never passed it.
Yeah. So interesting.
I just saw it. I usually delete those emails.
Right, yeah, but you're like, Champagne, you're like, let me pay attention. No, but that's the interesting thing is that like, even when you spend your entire career studying one region, and that's why for me, I decided I wanted to be a specialist, right? Because most importers, they go, oh, I'm going to do Spain because I love Rioja, and and I'm going to do Italy because why wouldn't you do Italy? I mean, I love Italy, right?
That's
I
Great
want to
region to drink from.
Yeah, I want to bring in Loire, I want to bring in the Rhone.
It gets too much.
And then you're like, I'm doing a Champagne dinner, and then I'm going to do a Rhone dinner, and then I need to do a Beaujolais Nouveau drop, and all of these things. And it's wow, that's great. And some people do fantastic at that. I really wanted to just go as deep down into one category as I could and become a subject expert, right? Not a master, I don't want to say like I know everything, but like to be able to think and read. And I mean, we've been to Champagne 4 times already this year. It's October. We've got plans to be back there a bunch next year. And, I've been to Champagne more times than I can count, quite honestly. And I still don't know everything. And I don't even feel comfortable saying like, I'm an expert.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's all subjective. The reality is that very much like anything else in life, it's all about the journey.
Sure.
Right. It's all about the journey of doing that. If you could learn all the things, it wouldn't be any fun. You would kind of lose interest. Right. I think that the key is that, but what you're doing is awesome though, because you're bringing in all these producers, a lot of them that we're so excited to hopefully try. You know what I mean? And that is kind of what's needed, in our industry.
I think what's fun about Champagne as a region is that it's not just one grape 1 year, right? You get it, and this isn't disparaging to any other regions, but like you get your appellation allows you to make wine from 1 grape or 2 grapes, and you get what Mother Nature gives you. In Champagne, you get multiple grapes, multiple years. You can blend them together. You can do all sorts of different things. You can chapitalize. You can do all these different things to create a champagne or to create a wine. Then once you create a wine, you ferment it again.
Yeah.
Right? You can add a little bit of sugar again. There's so many little levers and knobs that you can use to create something that's, champagne. And that makes it really, really exciting, but it also gives you the opportunity to have so much variance. If we were sitting here tasting 5 wines from Domaine Mea, you would taste 5 uniquely different expressions. And that's what's so exciting about champagne. And you were just there, this, right? You taste an entire lineup. You taste a Geoffroy and you go, whoa, look at all of these different wines that someone can make. And it's because you have the ability with the way that champagne is made and with the process to really do all sorts of different unique things. And that's what makes champagne fun. You can taste it 24 producers in 8 days
I guess the question,
and never get bored.
I think there's actually 2 more things that make it fun or very cool. One is it's lower alcohol, which you can drink a lot of it. That's enjoyable.
Lower than Jägermeister for sure.
Yeah. The second thing is, as someone else told me this, and I've never really thought about it, but it's like, man, that's like spot on. It's just like one of the few regions in the world where it's so unified for the identity of champagne that everybody is like, if one producer is succeeding, we're all succeeding. And it's like, there's no vin de France. No one wants to be vin de France in champagne, because why would you want to do that? We're trying to elevate champagne. And all the producers are trying to create great champagne. And I just think that is very unique in the brand of champagne. Now, do we have issues with the brand of champagne being a celebratory drink? I think that's starting to fade.
Sure.
But the idea is that there is a unified, organized concept between the producers to say, all of us are trying to elevate and make sure champagne stays high quality and make sure that we're all making a push to create great champagne, even big houses.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're totally right. And there was a time in the United States where people would stand up and say things like, grower champagne is the best and down with the big houses. And while I've, built my career and my palate leans towards grower champagnes, when you go to the champagne
or negociants
micro negociants, of course. But when you go to the Champagne region, the winemaker from a big house is playing tennis with the winemaker. The smallest grower producer
was telling is one of his best friends is the cellar master at Runar.
Yeah,
and they were sharing jokes.
And the houses are taking influence from the growers. Now you're saying that the houses
too, or vice versa,
are taking cues from what's going right in the growers and trying to implement that in the houses now. So it becomes this kind of incestuous thing. Right?
And some of the big houses have the money to be able to do some research and fund research projects that also influence what the growers are doing and give the ability to.
But there's a lot of sharing of knowledge.
Tons of it. And so this whole thing that we have here in the United States of growers versus big houses just doesn't exist in France.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I've done a big push, ditch the flutes, nobody should be drinking champagne of flutes anymore. There's a lot of things that I think are sort of moving towards extinction. But I think in the United States, we sort of do need to get rid of the idea that it's big houses versus growers and sort of look at quality.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's some big houses that are doing great things and there's some growers that are doing terrible things. So there's some crossover.
That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Is as you go there and you look to bring more people into your portfolio, obviously you've got to pick and choose from the best that you think that are out there. And so, I'm definitely a big component of that as well. There's a lot of houses that I think make amazing wines and I want to drink them all day long. And there's some growers that I might shy away from and other ones I want to go to. And I think that guide component of where you're taking consumers on is super critical, because those young sommeliers, again, can easily get stuck in that.
Yeah.
All growers, that whole, and kind of what the natty thing did, but with a, which we keep bringing that up. I know it keeps a reoccurring conversation because
I just don't like. I have a problem with the natty thing only because it's undefined and it points a finger at things that aren't in its ecosystem. I think it's too thick for its own good.
Well, I think it's still in its infancy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I think saying natural wine and natty wine are two different things.
I do agree.
Natty tends to be derogatory.
Oh,
if I go, oh, this is natty.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm saying something negative about it.
But
then this is natural winemaking. That's different.
How do you define natural then? Because what's unnatural about DRC?
I mean,
Nothing.
Exactly, but I mean,
And a lot of champagne producers are doing things that technically would be, like if you defined
I love
natty.
sulfur.
Yeah.
there's sulfur, right?
Sulfur is a big thing.
It's a big thing.
You might need some.
It might. To me, I don't really care about natty. I don't care about.
So it needs to be well made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
I
sure.
care about balance.
Yeah,
I guess
The two things I love most in the world, other than my wife and my dog. Well, and you guys.
Well,
You're number 3 now.
we do need to finish.
Yes, lightning round.
No. But you didn't.
You have a big party to go to. I'm just going to go home.
No.
Leftovers.
You didn't.
So.
You didn't finish talking about working with your wife. You popped the bottle and disregarded.
Oh right, we'll
the
get
whole
back to that.
conversation.
No, we'll get back. No, let's get back to that because it is an interesting topic. But I was going to say the two things I love most in my life are champagne, wine, and cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers are pretty
So
fucking
if you get
incredible.
But here's the thing
cheeseburger
about cheeseburgers and wine. The biggest thing about both of them is about balance. It's a great cheeseburger is about balance.
It shouldn't make you feel too heavy.
Well, that, but also like it shouldn't be too cheesy or too acidic or too oaky or too oniony. It should be all there in equal balance, right? If you eat a great cheeseburger, you have a great glass of champagne, you have a great glass of wine.
We must ask now. You're in
all
a
there.
town of great
I know.
cheeseburgers.
What is the best cheeseburger?
You have to get three. That way you're not throwing too many people under the bus.
Okay, I'll say something super provocative.
Okay,
I'll say something.
This is not a lightning round, by the way.
I'm going to say something super provocative about cheeseburgers. And I'm not going to pick Chicago specifically, but the best chain cheeseburger in the country is Five Guys.
Okay.
I would.
Five Guys, really?
Guys.
Absolutely. And my wife is going to watch this and she is going to go, yes.
It's if you don't believe me,
It's the best.
just order one or
the
go
best.
there. It's the best.
Just take a bottle of champagne.
There's
no
like
questions
Five
asked.
Guys right down the street from us.
Yeah.
All
the
time.
best.
All the time.
The best.
And you get the peanuts when you're waiting.
Okay, so what's
Right.
what's the other two? Then? What's
You're
what's
like, I
the,
never touched the peanuts.
best in class, doesn't matter where it's from.
You know, if I could reinvent myself and become a different person, I would become a cheeseburger influencer and I would go around the country and I would taste all of the cheeseburgers and I would...
Your body, I don't know if your body likes you more for drinking that much champagne
Right.
or would hate you more for
it's
doing...
But I don't know if I could pick a favorite, quite honestly. I think there's different cheeseburgers for different moments, right? You know...
I've heard that. I've heard that conversation for wine. I've never heard that.
No shout-outs.
Cheeseburgers for different
We're not going to
moments.
get one out of him. He doesn't want to discredit
That's
anybody.
okay.
No, but it's like champagne. If you said, what's your favorite champagne? I would say it depends on the moment. What are you eating it with? Where are you? Is it hot outside? Are you at the beach? Like all these different things, right? Like if I'm leaving here right now after, 2/3 or 1/3 of 2 bottles of champagne, like, and I'm getting a cheeseburger, like I'm not drunk, I'm not buzzed, I'm just sort of like, I need a good cheeseburger. That's going to influence it different than if it's like 2 a.m. and I'm coming home from, and I'm like, I just need something. Yeah, I mean, so yeah.
So the
So that's a good.
We got to get the wife.
The wife's
working
question.
with the wife.
Working with my wife is interesting because she has so many different talents than I do. Her background is not food and wine. She comes from architecture and design.
Oh, wow.
She built restaurants. She did a little bit of time working in restaurants as well too. She did management of like Michelin-starred restaurants and things of that nature. So she has a great hospitality background and a great hospitality mind. And so that really benefits what we do. So working with my wife is really interesting because we really do kind of counterbalance each other and we really kind of do give each other the opportunity to shine in the things that we shine in. But like every morning she wakes up and she goes, did you do this? I'm like, because she knows me. Isn't that
it's having as a wife it's kind of probably
no, it's great. That's great.
But it's having the best business partner because who knows you better than your wife?
For sure.
Right? Like my wife will look at me and go, did you do that thing I asked you to do? And I'm like, because she knows I didn't do it. There's certain things I love, like I'll do the dishes. No questions asked. She'll come home, I'll be like, I've done the dishes. She doesn't even have to ask. But she'll ask if I clean that toilet. Because she knows I didn't do it, even when she's asked me 2 or 3 times. So it's like one of those things. So it really works well for a partnership, especially when we're managing, like I said, 20-something states, 27 producers. We've got an online store. We've got a club. We have distribution. We've got trips that we do to France. We take groups to France on trips around the Champagne region. Our business is very multifaceted. And so we're juggling a lot of different things.
How often do you do those?
We did 1 last year. We'll do 3 next year.
Are you doing that as part of going to the producers that you're bringing in, or are you doing that as like a tourism kind of separate thing?
It's a little bit of both.
Both
Last
of
year we
same
went to
thing, right?
Yeah, same thing. You know, there's times we go visit producers that aren't in our portfolio, and there are times that we visit producers that are
awesome.
in our portfolio.
I know John's end game apparently is moving to Champagne and doing a tourism.
I don't know about that, but we've always thought it would be a fun tourism thing. I think
tourism in Champagne is amping up right now. Tourism in Champagne is not completely set up in the way
you're telling me. I have a lot of gripes with Champagne.
Sure.
It's not a great place to travel to.
Listen,
as someone who's, this is a marketing. Everyone should go to Champagne. It's an incredible place. I'm just saying it has some gaps.
As someone who's been to Champagne 50 times.
Yes, you've been a lot more than me for sure.
Yes, there are holes in their tourism and like wine tourism. But if you know what you're doing, if you go with a good group, if you go with someone who knows the ins and outs, you can sort of fill those gaps quite easily. And there are a lot of people that are filling those gaps very quickly. There are hotels being built, there are restaurants being built. There are
restaurants is a big issue. It has been.
Listen, Champagne traditionally was a trade route. It was the front lines of every single war that was fought in Europe for thousands of years.
It's had a lot of
right. And so Champagne was not a great food destination. And back to our conversation earlier, 20 years ago, if you'd asked me about Champagne and where to eat, I would have said, don't.
Yeah.
Like pack a sandwich, right?
Yeah.
But now there are great restaurants, and there's Szechuan restaurants, there's Chinese restaurants, there's I mean every type of cuisine that you can think is popping up in Champagne. And quite honestly, in Champagne now, sure, in France, there's a lot of great places that you can go and eat. But in Champagne, I would put it's moving up and up and up and up as far as culinary destinations in the world.
And more places to go, more B&Bs type of situations, more, we talk to all the people we talk to are all talking about how they create that tourism aspect of their
Well, you had Canton on.
Fantastic.
What they're doing is
huge,
amazing,
for sure.
They're doing great things, and I think they're the tip of the iceberg.
That is where it should go. I think there's a
that's where it's headed.
Listen, you just mentioned Napa. I said to somebody the other day, there's a balance between Burgundy and Napa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all I meant is like Burgundy doesn't really want to have a lot of tourists unless you're in the trade. It's quite difficult.
Sure.
Great food though.
Sure.
Incredible food. And then Napa's like full kitsch. I mean, it's almost all the way now. It's like very expensive. It's over the top. I mean, you have spas, blah, everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's still great food. There's great everything, but it's almost overwhelming. It's almost more tourism than it is actually.
I mean, I would say,
of course, there's 4 million people a year that visit the Napa Valley.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like there's a balance in between there where I think Champagne has a moment right now.
Yeah.
Where it can become that balance where it has this like charm and this great, it can grow its great restaurant scene. But
it's not as concentrated. So
we're in the industry. We're in the know. You're a Champagne lover. You're a Champagne lover. I'm a Champagne lover. This is what we've focused our lives, podcasts, businesses on.
Yeah.
But there are so many people that are just getting into Champagne. And that's the thing that I always have to, the average American drinks 1.6 glasses of champagne a year.
Oh, that is
1.6 glasses of champagne a year. And that's self-reported. So that's most likely
less.
Something at a wedding.
Yeah.
You go to Uncle Carl's wedding.
God,
and
we should look at our
champagne
stat over that.
Right, and so champagne is still in its infancy in a lot of ways, and we can't forget that when we're doing podcasts, when we're doing our businesses. We can't forget that so many people still have this thirst for knowledge, this excitement to go visit.
And that's why the social media that you're doing is so great, because it's democratizing it. It's bringing in people to feel comfortable to have the conversation. You're making it approachable.
Yeah. Before we go into the lightning round, our last caveat is drink more champagne and visit Champagne.
Yes.
But when you go to Champagne,
all right, glass is empty for lightning round.
Yeah, glass is empty.
Oh yeah,
I think that's important. Have a plan when you go to Champagne.
Okay,
let me unlock this. Josh has to do
we can
the lightning
edit,
round.
so no
he
problem.
always does the lightning round.
He always does the lightning round.
His voice is sexier.
Is it? All right.
I'm not in a position to
are you ready?
discuss that. I am.
Nobody likes listening to their own voice when you go back and edit the videos. That's the thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Lightning round.
This is disgorged, right? I think it's a disgorged round, is what I
Okay.
would say, right? Bottle of champagne that made you fall in love with champagne.
How fast is the lightning round? How
you-
fast
You,
does
you
it-
should be fast.
Okay.
Don't overthink it, but you can add into it.
Good. Have fun.
Ask me again.
Bottle of champagne that made you fall in love with champagne.
I once had a collector, as we discussed earlier, bring in a bottle of 1982 Krug Magnum. Had one glass, left the whole bottle for the staff.
Wow.
That made me fall in love with champagne, but it also made me fall in love with the idea of hospitality.
Yeah, incredible.
Also my birth year. I love the fact that that's 1982. Favorite region of Champagne? That's a tough one.
Favorite region of champagne?
Region of Champagne, like
Or village, I guess, is a better.
village could be. And
What have other people said to this? This is a crazy question.
I would agree. Josh.
it's
makes some
definitely a
of
question.
these questions.
The reality is just like, do I like Montan de Rance? Do I like, obviously in your position, that's more of a difficult question, obviously.
I have found myself enjoying Meunier-dominated wines a lot. I think there's a lot of experimentation in those wines, and there's a lot of reasons. We're in the lightning round, so I won't get into that, but I feel like there's a lot of people along the Vallée de la Marne that are doing some really interesting things. So if you said you've got 24 hours in Champagne, where are you going to go visit? Let's say
I
that.
love the answer of Vallée de la Marne.
And also the Meunier thing, because it's really Champagne's great.
honestly, like some of the first
It is.
epiphany bottles I had that like really got me excited about champagne were on the Meunier's side,
Yeah, well, and Meunier is interesting because it's the grape that is sort of usually discarded by the bigger houses. And so when a new grower comes in, someone new comes in to take over for their family, they're able to pull those vineyards back from the big houses first.
Yeah.
They go, we've got a contract that's expiring. Let me pull back some of these Meunier and we'll make it. So there's some really interesting things that are happening there. And it's not just the Vallée de la Marne, it's not just Meunier, but if we're in a lightning round and this is my this is my 3-minute lightning round answer.
But I mean, it's
Vallée de la
a very exciting region right now.
Yeah, and
So-
let's go as far west as we possibly can, and like let's get out into Bonnoy. Let's get out
Queen.
there. Yeah, and let's really get out there and have some fun.
Yeah.
Next question. If you had to drink one vintage,
This is why he's lightning round, because he's
say it.
focused and we're
I'm
not.
like, I'm going through it. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
one vintage, 1979.
1979.
Wow.
A, birth year. B, fantastic.
You're old.
I know.
You said we're all the same age. We're not the same age.
He's 1982. We're close.
We're pretty close. Yeah,
We're close.
Pretty
I'm
close.
a young gun.
You get to the point where you're like, oh shit, right?
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
The,
I fell asleep on the
best
couch
meal-
the other night watching baseball. Ooh, I'm still sore. 3-4 nights ago. It was rough.
Best meal of your life.
Best meal of my life.
It's a tough one.
No,
These
it's
are tough
not.
questions.
It's not a tough question. I've thought about this many times. Again, we'll be in the movie that's coming out about my life. Jared Leto is playing me.
Jared Leto's playing.
Oh,
Yeah, it's great.
I can see it.
Yeah. No. Best meal of my life ever was Thanksgiving family meal when I was at Per Se.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
What
Because
year? What year?
2013, because the chefs were cooking for their friends.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And I've been, and the caveat to this is I've been to every 3-star Michelin restaurant in the United States,
Yeah.
at least once.
Yeah.
I believe probably John is too.
And the best meal I've ever had was
The family meal.
a family meal.
Yeah, because they're throwing down.
Because it's all about. It's not. I mean,
It's not
the food, I'm sure,
always
is
about
high
the
quality.
lux items. It's about how just delicious is this.
I mean,
I mean, I
how-
think
how
there was
much you
probably
feel.
truffles too.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
yeah, of course.
I
But
mean,
how do you feel?
Yeah.
the reality is just the best meal is always
It's
who
the
you're
place,
with and what's
it's the
going
time,
on.
It's the
Yeah. My grandma wasn't a great chef, so like I don't have that memory, but
Yeah.
this is the equivalent.
for sure.
So obviously, with your experience in hospitality, I think we're all passionate about hospitality here, and so the best hospitality experience you've ever had.
There's so many. I think great hospitality comes from exceeding expectations. And
That's the Danny Meyer quote.
is it?
What he basically says is great hospitality isn't about we need to understand the expectation and can we exceed it?
Yeah. Listen, and Danny Meyer is amazing, and I fully agree with his philosophy, and so many other people who sort of like fall into that as well too. But I think great hospitality is exceeding expectations, but also anticipating them. And so for me, the best hospitality experiences are giving people something they didn't know they wanted.
Yeah. And
Hands down.
And you know, honestly,
so, but what was
the
that? Do you have one?
greatest things for me are seeing the smile on people's faces when they get something that they didn't expect.
Yeah.
Right? So whether it was me or someone else, like I've had tons of great hospitality experiences. And as a jaded hospitality alumni,
It's tough to.
it's tough, but there's still times where I'm blown away.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a good, distillation there for sure. Like that's important. So
But
when
again, I'll go back, like not to cut you off from the lightning round, because the lightning round is always the slowest round for me.
It is.
Some of the best experiences I've ever had are at friends' homes.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend here who is the director of operations for a very fancy restaurant group. And when I go to his house, it's like, what, like you've thought about, like they craft the smell, they craft the this, they craft the, like everything's thought through, and that's fun for me.
That's the funnest part about having dinner parties at your house, to be able to like curate that thing and think about it, and it it doesn't even have to be the most intricate thing. It's just curating the experience.
It's care to somebody.
It's care.
And also doing that with people that you feel comfortable with, that you can have deep conversations with, and so on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you're not drinking champagne, what are you drinking?
Negronis.
All right, love that.
Like that again, you and I.
Fastest lightning round answer.
That's great. You can only go to one place and eat and drink. Where are you going? Specific city and region.
Is champagne an option?
For sure.
Absolutely.
We're just opening it up. You only get one place the rest of your life. You got to go somewhere and you're going to eat and drink.
I mean, let's be real. If you're going to go anywhere in the entire world and eat and drink, and you can just stay in that city, it's Chicago.
Oh, all right.
I happen to live here. I'm not a Chicagoan per se. I grew up in California. I've been here off and on for a decade. But Chicago has no shade on New York. Love New York, lived there too. But Chicago does the low end, the middle, and the high end. There's great food programs. There's great wine programs. You can get anything you want any time of day. Maybe a New Yorker would argue with me and say New York's better. I'm a faux Chicagoan at this point. I've been here for a while, and I think Chicago.
This plays in well because I have Chicago questions after this, right?
I think Chicago. I think Chicago's the
I love
greatest.
it.
I think Chicago's the. I will say Chicago is the greatest food city in the world. Fight me.
Wow.
I'm probably wrong. I might not. I might not be wrong. I don't know.
I love the.
Let's go for it.
Let's go.
Let's go for it.
So this is a nerdy question, but what winemaking technique or practice
The other one's
has to
more
go?
nerdy.
I think thoughtless winemaking. I think like wine made from a recipe.
Yeah.
It needs to be this percent
thing.
alcohol. It
Yeah.
needs to be this color.
Much amount of oak.
It needs to be this amount of oak. It needs
So
to
a little bit
taste
of
like
mega
this.
purple in there,
Sure, whatever
Maybe
your
not
recipe.
even that. Maybe it's
Yeah.
just too regimented.
Whatever the recipe is, I think recipes need to go. I think every year Mother Nature gives you something different, and you should honor that. And if you're making wine where that's not an option, then that's not wine that I want to be a part of.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. If you have to eat at a restaurant in Chicago right now, where is it?
Right now?
Right now, where you're feeling. 2 bottles of champagne. Well, really, you've had a quarter of each.
Where are we going? If we had to
Right
make
now,
a reservation
we're
tonight,
going. Let's go to dinner
and
right
you
now.
had friends in, and they were
That's
in from
tough.
out of town, and
We
you're
can get into any
we're gonna take you to
reservation.
the best place I want to go to right now. Where is it?
He doesn't
I'll
want
take the fifth on that one.
Oh, he doesn't
Oh,
want
wow.
to do it.
I'll
Okay.
take the fifth on it.
Okay. You got too many friends.
There's too many friends. There's too many good chefs. There's too many amazing places.
Yeah.
Like 37 places popped in my head, and then I was like, I can't say any
Yeah,
of those
you can't
37
say
because there's 37 more that are just as good.
Well, I'm going to ask another hard question. Then.
That's fine.
Best place in Chicago to drink champagne.
I've always, like when people send me that question, which happens quite often, I always send them to Pops for Champagne. I think Pops for Champagne is sort of the OG champagne place in Chicago. There are tons of other great places.
Maybe one of the best or the oldest in the United States.
One of the oldest. They've been around for 2 or 3 decades, I want to say.
Yeah.
They're doing it right. They've got a staff that's dedicated and cares. If you're a champagne producer, if you're a champagne lover and you come into champagne, that's always your first stop. It's not the only stop that you would make. There's plenty of other great places to go, but I think in Chicago, we're blessed to have a place like that sort of really blazed the trail for all of the places behind it. There are a lot of great places, but they haven't been here for 30 years.
Yeah.
And in Champagne, as we talked about, it's difficult because there's all these stigmas around it. There's all these price sensitivities around it. And for a place like that to have been here for that long, props to them.
Yeah.
I always take a beeline to Pops for sure. I think I need to unlock the phone there. We have 1 or 2 more questions.
This isn't very enlightening of you.
It
Oh, no,
isn't.
it's discouraging
Well, like
of you.
you know,
The last one.
Last question.
Last one.
If you
It's so
could share a
sad.
bottle with any producer or some hospitality, dead or alive, who would it be?
That's the esoteric one.
But I like it.
Any som or hospitality?
Like someone in the industry that, you know, producer, someone in
I'll let
hospitality.
you know that's a Josh original.
I like it. I mean, the reality is it's a.
I'm going to say the corniest
Oh.
thing that you can imagine is that I think every person that you sit down with has something interesting to say. Whether they're a hospitality expert or they've never worked a day in their life in the restaurant, I think when you sit down across the table from someone with a glass of wine, with a bottle of champagne, you learn something about them and something about yourselves. And I think that's really important. I don't think that, you know, to say like, I'm sure that, you know, as you go through this, you'll get people saying, oh, Anthony Bourdain or Gandhi or whomever, right?
Gandhi.
Get Gandhi drunk. I bet that guy's got some cool shit to say, right? Like, I mean, but I think honestly, I'll say the second corny thing. My mom I've seen her drink once in my entire life.
Wow.
One time. I would love to sit and get my mom drunk and see what she has to say. That would be fun.
I'm at foot.
On that note, Garth.
Hi, Mom.
Let's do it.
She'll watch this too. She won't drink with me, but she'll watch this.
She'll watch this.
This has been fun. Like we might have to have you on again, man.
Yeah, dude.
Listen,
that was a stellar, awesome time.
Listen,
man.
season 1, season 2.
Season 2.
I want to be a
Also, you gotta, you're not far from us. We
gotta
came
come
up
down
to
to
you. You
Yeah,
gotta come
I'll come
down.
to you next time.
Come
You gotta
party.
get some of your wines and
Yeah.
John's
Yeah.
bar.
No problem.
Let's talk about that.
Next time
That'd
I'll
be
come to
cool.
you guys.
Let's do it.
That's great.
For sure. This has been a lot of fun. This
So
is
we've got
really,
it.
really
So
great, yeah.
part of the concept or full idea here is that I bought this farm, and we went to
Actually, this is the guy to talk to about this.
I'm into it. Let's go.
So I bought this farm.
You're speaking my
and
language
I'm
now.
remodeling this crazy barn into like a chef's kitchen and a massive cellar. And the idea is to have La Farm. So like Lafette, but we bring all these producers down and they hang out on the farm.
And we take them
drink
to
champagne.
bourbon distilleries. They get to see the craft of bourbon.
Yeah, actually.
But then it's like they get to party on a farm.
We bring some distillers. We bring some our friends from Willett or from smaller producers and say, hey, let's all hang out together and.
Because if we all know is like, you know what wine producers like, and then what bourbon producers like. People like drinking things they don't make.
Sure.
But they like communicating with other people that are also crafting something.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were saying before. It's just like the community of the beverage industry and the hospitality industry is just amazing.
It's
like,
amazing.
I've been doing it for 20-something years, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
It's amazing.
On that note, yeah. So
Thanks,
I think that's it. It's
Incredible.
a good ending point. So
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
was
This was
fun.
a lot of fun. I can't wait to be on season 2.
Season 2.
And
Exactly.
also, I want to apologize to whoever has to edit this.
That guy right there.
Sorry. Sorry.
Oh man.
Brother, thank you.